Breaking news, fans. After 20 years of what seemed to be a perfect partnership, Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin have discreetly filed for divorce. You heard that, right? Following years of ups and downs, this power couple has unexpectedly reached a breaking point, and the stunning news that you never expected suddenly surfaced online and is causing a stir in the entertainment sector. The details air having supported Jim through thick and thin. Chrissy is suddenly upset and taken by surprise. How could this happen? What went wrong? Shay asks. Was it a dramatic altercation, a betrayal, or something else that led to this spectacular breakup? Fans are in complete shock and are pouring out. Fans are surprised as the reality begins to surface despite rumors that the divorce was kept a secret for months. Once seen as a faithful partner, Jim Jones is currently the focus of a media frenzy, leading Chrissy and their followers to question what went wrong for one of the reality TV stars. Is there more to the most well-known couple stories than what is being told as we examine this dramatic split and uncover the shocking specifics of Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin's secret divorce? Stay tuned. Fans are having a hard time accepting that Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin got divorced so quickly. The well-known couple, who were previously inseparable, are currently going through a terrible split after 20 years of dating. But what specifically led to this abrupt change in circumstances? Although a lot of fans thought Jim and Chrissy had weathered the storm, new rumors suggest a more serious conflict that was concealed from the public, leaving everyone to wonder what went wrong. According to individuals close to the couple, the relationship had been rocky for some time, but none had anticipated Jim's sudden and discreet decision to break things off. It all started with a series of acrimonious disputes that allegedly grew worse during the preceding year. After enduring numerous ups and downs in their relationship, the once-loving pair began to exhibit indications of strain that were difficult to ignore. According to reports, Chrissy, who had been Jim's pillar of support for so long, was shocked to hear the news. She had always been supportive of Jim's work and their relationship. But as the months went by, she started to see that Jim was becoming more distant. Although Chrissy initially believed that everything was good, the insider also mentioned that Jim had been rejecting their relationship. When Jim quietly informed Chrissy that he wanted a divorce, she was taken aback because she had been anticipating their future plans. It felt like a face slap. For months, she did everything she could to improve matters, but Jim had changed. Jim supposedly dropped the bombshell during a typical meal one evening, which brought everything to a climax. Chrissy didn't see it coming and thought they were working things out, according to a close friend of the pair. But Jim had already decided what to do. Even more startling was Jim's handling of the matter. Rather than speaking candidly with Chrissy, he chose to discreetly file for divorce behind her back. Jim was going about his job without any dramatic confrontations, acrimonious disputes, or public statements. Chrissy found out about the divorce through the media since Jim went ahead and filed for it without giving her any advance warning. The same insider claims Jim never showed her the decency of a proper conversation. It was cold, calculated, and cruel. Friends and relatives were taken aback by Jim's abrupt and covert action, and many questioned why he hadn't handled the matter more publicly. Was there anything else happening in the background here? Nevertheless, there is no concrete evidence to support the rumors that Jim was seeing someone else. It would seem that a confident Jim could have found comfort elsewhere, but Chrissy had no idea what had happened. Social media was ablaze with hypotheses and speculations, and fans who had grown to love the couple over the years were left startled and bewildered. Many admirers wrote, "This is so unexpected. I never thought Jim would end things like this. What happened? I can't believe Jim would do this to Chrissy. They were supposed to be a power couple," expressing their shock at the sudden divorce. Following reports that Chrissy was upset, fans were finding it difficult to comprehend the information. Sources close to her say that Jim's actions left her feeling humiliated and deceived, and that she was sad. According to a family member, Chrissy is taken by surprise because she gave him everything, and this is how he pays her back. In the days that have followed, she has been having a hard time believing what has transpired. Chrissy was spotted out in public for the first time since the news broke. Her posture was gloomy, and she appeared to be lost in thought, obviously, overcome by the emotional upheaval. One close friend said she never expected Jim to end things like this, and she's trying to stay strong, but it's hard for her. As the drama unfolded, viewers began to speculate about the possible reasons behind the breakup. While some believed that external reasons like their busy work schedules and constant public scrutiny had harmed their relationship, others said that Jim and Chrissy had just drifted apart over time. The media claims that being in the spotlight is bad for every relationship, but Jim and Chrissy seem to have managed to handle the stress. The theme of growing apart seems to resonate with many followers now that it has finally caught up with them. The reason for this is that both Jim and Chrissy had undergone substantial personal development in the previous few years. Jim, who had been focusing on his music career and other business ventures, had grown busier and more aloof, while Chrissy, on the other hand, were leading very different lives, and anyone around them could see how emotionally distant they were from one another. According to an insider, she had started focusing more of her time on her own hobbies, like her job in the fashion sector. So there were no more romantic gestures or date evenings. The most surprising part of the whole incident is that Jim never discussed the divorce in public. Instead, he remained silent and let Chrissy deal with the consequences alone. Since they were living more like roommates than a couple, it was only a matter of time until something made people believe that Jim's choice to break up with her was the result of their lack of communication and connection. He didn't give Chrissy or anyone else a chance to understand his reasons. He just disappeared. According to a source, one fan claims his silence has only added fuel to the fire, with many fans feeling that Jim's actions were cowardly and disrespectful. He could have at least spoken out and explained himself, but all that's left are speculations and conjecture. As the days go by, Chrissy seems to be treated unfairly. After decades of relationship, fans are left wondering if there is more to the narrative than meets the eye. Was it adultery, emotional betrayal, or just two people drifting apart? Whatever the cause, there's no denying that Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin had a deep and affectionate relationship in the past. However, because Jim and Chrissy have both kept quiet about the details, it's possible that the true reasons for the divorce will never be completely revealed. Dot has finally come to an end, leaving a path of uncertainty, pain, and unanswered questions. It will take some time for fans to fully understand the reasons behind this once inseparable couple's breakup. As they are still in shock at the news, more details began to surface as the days passed and Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin's divorce dominated news reports. Sources close to the couple began to share more information, painting a far more nuanced and poignant picture of what had truly happened behind the scenes. Still in disbelief, fans wanted explanations, but they appeared vague. Among the most startling disclosures were made by close friends there began to be rumors that Jim had been in another relationship that had quietly grown over the previous year. No one had expected this, and sources said that Jim's decision to file for divorce was not simply the consequence of a few tense disagreements or growing estrangement. Long before the divorce was filed, these rumors implied that Jim might have betrayed people on a much deeper level, left fans and Chrissy perplexed as to how Jim managed to maintain such a significant secret. No one was able to confirm the months-long rumors that someone in Jim's inner circle had seen him with someone else, because Chrissy thought their relationship was steady. She was oblivious of this and never suspected that Jim had dated someone else. Chrissy was surprised to hear that Jim had deceived her so horribly after everything they had been through together. She had always been the one to stand by him without hesitation, and now it appeared that her confidence had been betrayed in the most terrible way. Chrissy was devastated by this news. In what way may Jim have betrayed her? She had bestowed upon him all things, including loyalty, love, and royalty, it seems. However, that he had been looking elsewhere. Insiders claimed that the media was the most painful way for Chrissy to find out about the affair. According to one insider, when the reports started to spread online, she was taken by surprise and was taken aback. To her surprise, she discovered that Jim had been seen. Jim seemed unconcerned, letting everything unfold without a word. Jim's silence did nothing but fuel the animosity. Fans and friends questioned why Jen wouldn't come clean in the midst of all the drama, since he was mute and wouldn't respond to the rumors. One insider said Chrissy had a right to know the facts. Fans who had previously appreciated the pair felt duped by Jim's silence and refusal to provide his version of events, which added to the mystery surrounding the separation. Friends who had been close to the marriage described Chrissy as sad and finding it difficult to cope with the reality of the divorce and the affair as more information came to light, highlighting the emotional toll the affair had taken on her. She claims it's a family member, but she finds it hard to rely on her friends for help, since she believed Jim was the only person she could trust. She never imagined this would occur, but suddenly everything is different. Jim appeared to be handling the situation differently than Chrissy, who was having emotional difficulties. According to sources, he was more concerned with his career and reputation, but according to a close acquaintance, Jim has always been focused on his business and has been leveraging the divorce to further his image, brand, and music. He is more concerned with his public image than he is with the emotional aspects of things, because they believed Jim was exploiting the turmoil for his own gain. Fans disliked this business-first approach. Fans saw that Jim was no longer taking ownership of the hurt he had caused. Chrissy, in the weeks following the divorce announcement, Jim was more frequently spotted on social media, posting promotional material for his music and other projects. And while his posts were replete with upbeat quotes and glamorous pictures, there was a noticeable tension beneath the surface of Jim's usually easygoing personality. Was coerced, as if he were performing to distract himself from the emotional wreckage of his private life. Meanwhile, Chrissy's social media activity became a little more muted. One fan wrote, "It seems like he's trying to convince everyone, including himself, that everything is fine. But we can all see through it." Because she started posting more contemplative, cryptic comments about love, heartbreak, and moving on, instead of the big, confident posts they had become used to. Fans soon began to suspect that she was orchestrating these posts. "The strength to move forward comes from within," she stated in a tearful post as the tension grew and a lot of dramatic events transpired. Jim was seen at various public events. Many people rallied around Chrissy, expressing comments like, "Chrissy is so strong and she'll get through this. She deserves better than what Jim did to her." At one of these gatherings, he was photographed with a woman who many believed to be the one he had slept with during the affair. Social media users couldn't help but connect the new woman to Chrissy after seeing the picture. How could he do that to Chrissy so soon after everything? A fan said. The media erupted when Jim was asked directly about his relationship with the woman in question. But instead of giving a definitive answer, Jim once again chose to remain silent and refuse to comment, which only made the situation worse. The new relationship, whether serious or not, only fueled the flames. And many began to doubt Jim's commitment to the marriage in the first place. Fans were left wondering about Jim's true intentions when he refused to address the reports regarding his new relationship while Chrissy remained silent. Fans felt betrayed by him, and one follower said, "It's like he's hiding something and it makes everything feel even worse. He could have at least been honest." Although Chrissy was displaying bravery in public, those closest to her knew how much pain she was in. Focusing on her personal recovery, sources close to her revealed that she had been attending therapy to help deal with the trauma of the divorce and the betrayal. One close friend said, "She's doing the best she can, but it's been extremely difficult. For her, she never imagined Jim would hurt her in this way." Fans remained glued to their screens as the months went by and the drama surrounding Jim and Chrissy's divorce only intensified. hoping for any new information or clue as to what had actually happened between the one strong couple. Some fans expressed their support for Chrissy on social media, while others used the same platform to vent their anger at Jim's actions. The affair, the silence, and the emotional toll all pointed to a much deeper betrayal than fans could have ever imagined. And as the dust settled, it became clear that Jim and Chrissy's breakup was much more complicated than anyone had anticipated. At one point, a fan wrote, "We want the truth," hoping she would find happiness again. As the weeks turned into months, the mystery surrounding their divorce grew more intense, and the public's curiosity only grew as the news of Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin's sudden split continued to shatter the once stable facade of their relationship, leaving many wondering if Jim would ever come clean about what really happened, or if he would continue to hide behind the facade of his public persona. The affair wasn't the only thing that left fans wondering. As time passed, new information about Jim's actions during the last years of their relationship began to surface, and the truth was far from clear. The more they learned, the more they wondered if this was all a misunderstanding or if there had been a deeper betrayal that no one could have predicted. Jim's detachment was actually a long-standing issue. According to a number of people close to the couple, Chrissy had always supported him, and Jim had gradually started to emotionally and mentally distance himself from her. What had started out as small, seemingly insignificant moments of tension developed into a full-fledged, gave him unconditional love, support, and devotion. But with time, Jim started to shift. According to an insider who was close to both Chrissy and Jim during their relationship, Jim was emotionally detached from her sentiments and wasn't as invested in the relationship as Chrissy thought. Noticed the change, but she didn't believe it was a temporary situation. As Jim's career became a big force in the hip-hop industry, the need to stay relevant increased over time. And Chrissy had been there for him through years of extreme stress. Chrissy always thought their love would last no matter what. And a close friend of hers admits that she was unaware that Jim was focusing more on his fame, his brand, and his career. It was as if he had just begun. It was all the ups and downs, the conflicts with the media, and the challenges of being in the spotlight. But as Jim's focus shifted more to his career, he started to neglect the relationship he once held close. "It's not easy, but I'm moving forward. I've got a lot of love for Chrissy, and I wish her nothing but the best." Jim said in the video that life is about learning from mistakes, and I've learned a lot. Fans weren't impressed with his vague comments about developing as a person and moving on. As the drama developed, one fan said he still doesn't get it. They were anticipating a more sincere response that acknowledged the harm he had caused and demonstrated some real sorrow. But they didn't get it, as it became clear that the consequences of the breakup would be just as complicated as the relationship itself. Fans were split. Some sided with Chrissy, while others stuck with Jim. The public continued to wonder what Jim would do next because of his silence about the affair and his unwillingness to take full responsibility for his conduct, which left many issues unanswered. Chrissy refused to let anyone tell her how she should feel about her own life or let Jim's treachery to define her. Even while Jim's reputation kept declining, their divorce drama was far from finished, and Chrissy's journey to self-love and healing had only just begun. Although the public would still want answers, it was clear that Jim and Chrissy were currently living quite separate lives, and with aftermath of Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin's breakup continued to make headlines. And the tale seemed to get more intricate, dramatic, and unpredictable every day than anyone could have imagined. Chrissy, who had already emotionally moved on from the relationship, was focusing more on her personal growth and the support of her ex-partners. As the tension between them increased, friends and family, while Jim battled the constant criticism that came with his behavior. As fresh information about his affair emerged, his meticulously crafted image was collapsing, and the public's response was more severe than he had anticipated, while Chrissy was everything but quiet, with her followers cheering her on for advocating for herself. Jim remained largely silent behind his mysterious social media statements. As Jim's reputation deteriorated, she took control of her tale and changed from the broken woman left behind to a symbol of strength and independence. Amidst all the drama, a bombshell was dropped just as it seemed Jim could be forgotten. But Chrissy's popularity seemed to be soaring. Jim Jones made a surprising his first major public speech after the divorce brought him back to the spotlight. But it was far from the apology that the public had hoped for. Rather, it was replete with vague justifications and sly attempts to assign blame. He began to attribute the disintegration of his relationship with Chrissy to external factors, pointing to the pressure of being in the public eye as a major contributing factor. "We tried, we really did, but at the end of the day, we're two different people. I made mistakes, but I'm trying to better myself." Jim said in an exclusive interview, "Sometimes life throws a lot at you, and things don't work out the way you expect." Fans immediately jumped on social media to criticize every word of his statement, blaming everyone else. Some fans criticized him of playing the victim instead of taking responsibility for the harm he had caused Chrissy. But it wasn't simply the typical Jim move. The fans were upset, Chrissy's friends and family were incensed, and their rage was now spilling out into the public eye. In an exclusive interview, a close friend of Chrissy's who had previously remained silent came forward to condemn Jim's behavior, revealing the emotional toll Jim's actions had taken on Chrissy and being blunt about how poorly Jim handled the situation. Many fans expressed their shock that Jim hadn't taken full responsibility after hearing Chrissy's friend's statement that he didn't want to be open or honest with her, pushing her away when she needed him the most, and now blaming outside forces instead of accepting responsibility for his actions. This is just reprehensible. According to sources close to Chrissy, Jim had not really tried to make amends for the hurt he had caused, and his attempt to shift the blame did little to mend his image. As the weeks went by, Jim seemed to be caught in a vicious cycle of bad publicity, and more information about his affair came to light, including shocking details about his behavior behind closed doors. Despite everything, Chrissy remained calm and told the media that she had no interest in a public dispute with him, but he continued to date the other woman. In fact, it was later found that he had started introducing her to friends and family as if the affair were just another aspect of his life. Rather, she chose to prioritize herself, her relationships, and her work. She flashed a selfish smile on Instagram, which was the most essential thing to her. With the caption, "More resilient than yesterday," on her post, she got hundreds of thousands of likes. And thousands more. Her resilience and decision to move on graciously are praised by admirers who remark, "You've always been a queen." Christina, "Don't let anyone make you feel less bright," one fan said. Meanwhile, Jim's reputation continued to decline, and his once loyal supporters began to have second thoughts. People remembered everything about him and started looking into his previous actions. His attempts at atonement were failing, and he had a fresh perspective on his moments of hubris and scorn. Dwelling. Since the folks were unable to tolerate the pain he had caused Chrissy in unexpectedly, several of Jim's closest friends came forward with information into his psychological state during the separation, seeing him as a man who struggled with emotions of insecurity and uncertainty. But instead of growing up with that vulnerability, he had reacted in ways that hurt his loved ones. His friends claim that before the divorce was finalized, he sought comfort in a new relationship, which only made the damage worse. But Jim maintained that he was concluded his defense, declaring, "I've said what I needed to say. I'm doing what I hope everyone else does too," he wrote at the end. But the truth was, everyone listening could see that Jim Jones was trying to dodge the consequences of his failure. Toit was a betrayal of Chrissy and his loyal followers to acknowledge everything, who had supported him unconditionally for so long that the turbulent divorce had turned into a warning to Thea. Public reminder that betrayal can have far-reaching consequences, and that love is fragile exceeding everyone's expectations while Jim tried to maintain his reputation and move on. Chrissy emerged stronger and more independent than before she had the guts to leave. A circumstance-dysfunctional relationship, and she had resisted having anyone, especially Jim, dictate to her. But in the end, it was clear that this break had repercussions that went beyond Jim and Chrissy, those who had watched their connection grow over time, and who now had to deal with the admiration rajacogging that relationships don't always work out. Chrissy saw the future was ready to write her own story as we wrap up this shocking episode. The drama in this tale of betrayal, heartbreak, and forgiveness is undeniable. People all throughout the world have been captivated by Chrissy Lampkin and Jim Jones' love, and it's far. How do you feel about this sudden breakup? Do you believe Jim's version of events, or do you think Chrissy was right to break things up? Let us know what you think in the comments section below. If you're as interested in this story as we are, please remember to like this video. We love to hear what you think. Please subscribe to our channel and tell your friends about this news, as it is only the first of many juicy celebrity updates to come. The Iceberg will update you on all the latest information. Stay tuned for more.